Hi, I'm Margaret and welcome to Garden School. Well, it stopped raining for a few minutes and it's a pretty mild winter day here in January. So I got outside to sweep the things off the front porch and just to check some things out. And I'm noticing that my two rhodies here that border my walkway into my house are really starting to encroach on the pathway. So let's take a look at that. So I've got two very mature rhododendron here. And I am noticing how much they are pulling onto the sidewalk area and kind of crowding out the front door. So I'm wondering, is this the right time of year to prune? And you'll notice I see some flower buds here. Well, let's take a look at the right time to prune something like a rhododendron and what might be the result of that. Well, I wanted to deal with these rhodies that were encroaching, and I was hoping to do it when it wasn't raining, but you know, sometimes if you wait until it's not raining to do anything, you don't get much done. So anyway, here we are. And I see another little rhody that I want to show you that has some pruning that needs to be done. So this is a little rhody with some very bronzy kind of foliage. It's kind of small leaves, and it is a very, very early bloomer. It blooms a nice medium purple, kind of a lavender color. And I think it might even be a native. I don't remember. But anyway, I see that there are some branches that are dead. There's no leaves on here. There's no sign of growth on here. So what I'm going to do is some maintenance pruning. And if I can look at this one, all the way, I do see some buds here, which might have some hope. But I'm going to try and take the dead stuff off with my pruner. So I'll just do a cut right at the end there and just clean it up. We don't, this isn't going to hurt anything except really the appearance of the bush, of the shrub. So get that one off there. And then there's a little bit more cleaning up here. Get that done. Now this is what, and in fact I'm going to take this little stub off down here from the previous year. So this is what we call maintenance pruning. That's another little part right there. So what we've done here is what's called maintenance pruning, and that includes taking off the dried flowers after they have all finished blooming and they're dry. Wait till they're dry and then take them off. And you can do that with a clipper, or you can do it with your hand, with your fingers. Whatever way works best for you, where you don't take off the new shoot that might be starting to grow behind it. So that is maintenance pruning. That's one kind of pruning. Another kind of pruning is the shaping kind of pruning that I'm going to try and do today, but we'll deal with that in just a moment. But there's a third kind, and that's when you want to rejuvenate a bush. So let's say you've had something, it can happen. There could be some serious damage to a rhody where half of it gets broken off, by an animal or a fallen tree or just, some accident that happened. So you can actually take that back way severely. Some resources even say you can take some rhodies down to just like 6 inches above the ground, and they will come back nice and full with a flush of new growth and fill in. So when you make that cut, that's going to stimulate the budding of new leaves and new growth there. So that's a different kind of pruning. Now the shaping and the rejuvenating pruning, those can be done when the plant is dormant, so in the winter time. And they suggest late winter. I'm probably a little bit early, but I figured I needed to get out and do a task today. So let's address that shaping pruning if we can. Okay, on the shaping up of these two rhodies that are quite large, but really lovely when they bloom, especially right by the front door, I'm going to try to ease back the branches that are coming out and onto the sidewalk or to the walk area. And we can see like some things like this, and like this. That would be nice if it was just a little bit shaped back a little bit so that it opened up the pathway a little bit and didn't make it feel so enclosed. Now, when we do this, I am not going to do it with, for instance, a hedge pruner and just come by and, you know, draw my line and just cut all the way down. First of all, the stems on some of these are so large and woody that wouldn't make a good cut, probably. So I'm going to have to use pruners or loppers. And then also, you're going to be cutting at the wrong place for returning growth. What we want to do is cut back. For instance, on this one here, I want to cut back, but I want to cut back either to a place where it's kind of a natural break, and you can see this branch here joins with another one down there. I could take that off to there. If I take it off to like right here and leave a stub, you know, a 6-inch stub or something like that, that's going to be very, very unattractive, especially in the walkway. And it's not going to stimulate the return growth. So I'm going to cut this one right there, take that off, and then it opens up a little more and I can see there's another one, same kind of thing. I'm going to take that back up right to where it comes off the main branch. Now this can be some kind of time consuming, so I'm probably not going to finish this today. I'll start it today and then maybe come back to it another day. Now sometimes you have to make a tough decision as to how far to go back. And you also want to think about, am I going to leave a big open area with naked branches for people to walk by? Well, if you do the cut correctly and at the correct place, it will stimulate a flush of growth. So let's take a look here. Like maybe I'm going to take this one off here. And now I'm sure that as I get going on this, I will be less discretionary about what I cut, because I'll be a little more used to it. Okay, for instance, right here, I'm going to take this little spur that's coming off of this one. I'm going to take it off back to right to here, because there's another little branch, another little shoot coming off there. I'm going to take it off right to there. Now, hopefully, we're going to get some more flush growing there. But another way I can do this is I can take, let's look at this little one right here. I can take this one back to like right here. Of course, I'm going to really want to cut it more, but I'm going to show you this. I'm going to take it back to the next set of leaves and cut just, you know, a 1/4 inch above. Take that off, and then that should stimulate some more shoot growth and leaf growth right there on this end here. And then it will fill out more. So rhodys are pretty forgiving, and as you see, I do have a bit to go, but I'm going to just, you know, try and see how it goes. So that's a little bit about shaping pruning. One thing you may encounter when you are doing shaping pruning is that you've already see buds. This is a flower bud. Here's another flower bud that is set to bloom next spring. That would be nice. However, this branch does need to come off or come back, and so I'm going to lose that flower bud. So in actuality, where I've been cutting, I may lose some flowering right here on the side by the steps and stuff. There will still be flowering all over the rest of the plant where I'm not pruning those buds off. That's just, you know, it's going to need to be the way it is. It didn't take too long, and I only had to use my hand clippers for that. And I have opened up this space here in the entryway of my walkway. I think that's really good. Now, I do have a volunteer Heather down there that's like to make the sidewalk, or part of the sidewalk, its home. I'm going to have to figure out what to do with it, but not today. So I trimmed up my cleanings. Now I'm done. So there are 3 types of pruning to do on a rhody. The maintenance pruning for removing the dead blossoms and any broken branches, and that's typically done right after the blossoms have dried, or whenever you see a broken branch or a damaged branch on a rhody. And then there's also the shaping pruning, which we did today on these 2 large rhodys to move them away from the pathway. And if you wanted to bring it down in height or something like that, if it's crowding over a window, That's the shaping pruning, and that can be done when the plant is dormant in the winter. And then there's also the rejuvenation pruning, where you might take a severely damaged, or maybe even a weakly growing rhody down to maybe even 6 inches. Just cut it down and then watch that flush of new growth come. Rhodys are pretty indestructible, especially in our area. They are native here to the Pacific Northwest, and they're a wonderful thing to see. The wild ones are great to see in the wild. But there's also a wonderful rhododendron garden, botanic garden nearby me, which I have gone to several times. It is wonderful. The peak is like Mother's Day weekend. But if you go at other times, a little bit earlier or later, you can see a lot of different things there at that beautiful rhododendron garden. And they have species and specimens from all over the world. You never know. Just fascinating. Well, I hope you can do something like that. Get out and see some rhodys in your landscaping or in your neighborhood or in a botanic garden perhaps nearby. Well, there's always more to learn in the garden. Bye-bye.